Hello. Today, again, we have the same situation. We want to organize Operation Blitzkrieg. How to recognize when is a good time for that? We already spoke about that, and we have a different position, but with the same idea. So we want here to start with Operation Blitzkrieg. How to recognize when is a good time for that? First, as you can see here, white has a lot of pieces on different sides. We want to play on the king side. We have something maybe here. Maybe we can organize. Who knows? But white doesn't have the pieces there. Maybe just the rook, but maybe he's more negative on that place instead to be some good defending piece. Because the king can't run away that fast because of the rook. Okay, what else we can see here? That white has some idea to take the pawn on d4, and if we wait a little bit more, probably we will lose the pawn. He can support this attack with the rook, and then if he doesn't take in the first move, maybe he will take in the second, who knows. But there is a problem with that pawn. Also the pawn on a6 is hanging. So if we don't use some important thing here, or something what will be like attack, because when you start with attack, your opponent doesn't have the time to play what he wants to play, to continue with his idea. Why? Because you will be stronger. You're attacking him. You're making some progress. You're pressuring him. So with pressure, there is no chance that he will continue with his idea. His idea is just to take a couple of pawns, maybe nothing else. So if we start with Operation Blitzkrieg, we will immediately keep his tensions on that. So he will be there to try to defend his king, or the battle will be for that. So what we can do here? First move, take a pause if you want, then I will tell you. So first move is rook takes on f3. So again, if you want to start with Operation Blitzkrieg, that means that you will sacrifice element of surprises on your side. Second thing, you will open the enemy king with that. So there is two options how you can open position. When you exchange the pawns, or when you sacrifice one of your pieces. I call that, when we sacrifice, I call that Operation Blitzkrieg. Because when you sacrifice, your time is running low. So you are already down with some of your pieces, and down with material, and you need to be fast in your idea of what you want to achieve, because if you are not, then your opponent will consolidate position. He will move the pieces from one side to another, and he will control that situation then, and that will ruin your sacrifice, because then if you don't have anything from attack and you already sacrifice, you will be down for material, so probably you will lose the game. So why we should sacrifice here on f3? First thing, what I told you already, is that there is a lot of enemy pieces. Mostly of them is on the queen side, and that means that probably now it's a good time. What else we can see here? Not only that, of course, how we are able to put our pieces in attack. In which time we will do that? That will be with tempo, because tempo is so important. Can we give check, or can we do something that that our opponent or your opponent is like in check? So if he has some similar situation that what happened here, g takes and then queen g5, for example. So this is a tempo move for us. He will be forced to move the king. So maybe he wants to move the queen here, but it's not, of course, a legal move, so he can't do that. So for that, he needs to spend maybe a couple of tempos, like queen d7 and then queen g4. Why this is important? If you understand chess, you will know that if he puts the queen there, where is his king? Probably he will cover a lot of space, so that will ruin our attack. So we can't let him to do that. How we can stop him? We can use tempo moves. So when we constantly pressuring him, or when we are constantly have some threats, he can't move the queen because he's in check. After that, something new will happen. Let's see. King h1 and then queen f4. Now we are trying to capture this pawn. If we capture a couple of pawns, then again white will be in problem. Instead queen f4, maybe better move, and probably it's a better move here, is okay, this is the game between Magnus Carlsen, Magnus was white here, and Nikol Sarin. So even such player like Magnus Carlsen can forget about in some moment he can forget about Operation Blitzkrieg. Of course he knew about that. Maybe he doesn't call that Operation Blitzkrieg because I invented that name. I didn't hear from some other pieces from some other players. No, but probably he has some similar name, or it doesn't matter how he called it. He knows about it. That I'm totally sure about it. But he's also not maybe completely human being, because he's more than that in chess. But still he can understand. Of course, he knew much better to play chess than me, definitely. But he can also think like human being. What that means? He thinks like human being. He thinks logical. So he calculates here just logical moves. To sacrifice here, it's not that much logical, because you will probably gamble with that. It's so risky move, because if it's not correct sacrifice, you will lose the game. But you can follow some rules here. What can lead you to the conclusion? Is it okay for me to sacrifice or no? If I see that there is a lot of pieces who is on different side, so they can't help the enemy king to be more safer. Also, if I can bring my pieces with tempo in attack, that means that I have speed. When I have speed, that means that I have good attack. So one thing leads to another. So let's start with our rook f3, and we can say that it's probably okay sacrifice for us. We can't be totally sure, of course. But even such player like world champion, he's also kind of human being. So he's thinking like we. That means that he's thinking logical moves. He search what enemy can play here, but only logical moves, nothing special that he can recognize. Mostly probably he recognized that, but in this case he didn't recognize that black can sacrifice his rook and to start with Operation Blitzkrieg. Black will be faster in attack. Okay, let's see now. So rook takes on f3, pawn takes, and then queen g5. Of course, we must play tempo move here. King h1, and then queen f4. Maybe queen f4 is not the best move. The better move here is probably bishop e5. Idea with bishop e5 is now to bring the queen on f4, and the game will be over. He can't prevent anymore queen h2. For example, maybe rook g1 to defend that, but then queen f4, and after rook g3, so yes, he can defend that, but now he opened something else, and that is last rank. In this case, this is first rank. So rook c8, and we can put the rook on c1. So he defend that, but then we can push the pawn, and nobody can save that pawn from promotion. Yes, that he can move the queen there, and the queen will be in front of the pawn, so we can't, naturally that means that we can't push the pawn on d1, but we can play rook c1 and we will kick that queen. He can't take because we will take with our pawn and we will promote the queen, and the other rook can't be moved from that place because he's pinned by the queen and the bishop, so they are holding him there. Practically the game is over. So the queen can go now on d1, but we can play d2 and the game is over because he can't prevent rook c1 in this position. And after that, there is two choices for white, to move the queen or to take. If he takes, we will promote, the game is over, we have two queens. Okay, so probably that could happen if black plays the best move here, and that is bishop e5. But even if he doesn't play that, still he is in good position because first move was great, that is rook f3. So now queen f4. Small mistake, but still black can be better here. After that, king g2, of course, Magnus used his chance to defend that with the king, not to put the rook on a difficult situation like what we saw here with rook g3. So king g2, protecting that, and then bishop e5. And now white played rook d1. They want to play, top players in the world, they always think to play some active moves. They don't like passive moves because it's not in their natural to play that moves. But in this case, probably was better to play rook a1, rook h1, because in that way he will protect so important square on h2. We will see later what will happen after rook d1, but let's see now what was the best for white. So rook h1, and then we can check him, king f1, and now we cut off the rook, but he can return the rook in the game with h4. And when we move the queen, we must move the queen from g file. We can't go anywhere. Then king g2, and again, white can move the rook in the game. It will be really hard to play this position for white, but still he has some chance, probably for a draw. To fight for a draw, of course. Okay, but he didn't play that. He played rook d1, and now practically the game is over because we can move the king from this safe place. And when we kick him on some more clear position for us to attack him, to be more exposed, of course we have a pieces, so we can use them to attack. So first rook c8 again, and after queen d7, now white maybe wants to keep our queen to that pawn on f7. He wants to pin our queen, but we don't. We can use some tempo moves here. So first we can put the rook on seventh rank, on second rank, and now we are threatening checkmate, because after queen h2 check, king f1, we have queen f2 checkmate. So he needs to protect that with maybe rook f1, but then queen h2 checkmate. There is no good defend move here for white, so he decided to sacrifice his queen. Okay, he sacrificed the queen, but now we can just take whatever we have here, and this is totally winning position. I don't want to show you the rest of the game because it's not important for us. For us, it's much more important how to enter in winning position. They play a lot of moves. They have problem with time. Nihal struggle how to win this game. Eventually, he won the game, but we don't want to see that. For us, it's much more important because there is a lot of mistakes in after this position, and I don't want to show that. It's not important. For us, it's much more important how to enter in winning position. Now the pawn here will fall, and we have a couple of more pawns, and of course we have bishop more, so it's totally winning position. They have problem with time, so especially the black, so that is why he creates here a lot of mistakes. But it doesn't matter. He show us how to play, how to create opportunity here for Operation Blitzkrieg and to win the game. Also, what I want to show you here is queen h2. Instead, rook c2. Black can play queen h2, and after king f1, check again. Idea is to include the rook with the tempo. So rook c2 now, and if he goes here, we have rook c3, and then we will check him again here. So that is why rook d2, but we can sacrifice the pawn. We will force him to go on third rank, and when he takes that, it doesn't matter if he goes here, because yeah, then we can give check here. So he will take, and then rook c3. Idea is again the same. We will capture here the pawn on f3, and the game will be over because we have checkmate here. So that is how black should continue, but no, he played rook c2. It's not tempo move, but still he saw opportunity that he will win the game with rook c2. Now he's threatening so powerful queen h2, so that is why Magnus decided to sacrifice his queen. And the game is lost practically after that. Okay, thank you for this for your time, and if you like, please subscribe. If you have some comment, please comment this, ask me something, whatever you want. I will be happy to answer on that, if I can, of course, if I know. And see you in the next video. Bye bye.